YouTube. So I tried to film this video last night when I was completely and utterly done and my brain wasn't working. So I rewatched it and no, nothing good came from it. So I'm gonna try and refilm it, but you might have to bear with me. This might end up being heavily edited because chronic fatigue syndrome. Anyway, so the topic of this video is about people who kind of criticize people and tell people that their chronic fatigue syndrome isn't real chronic fatigue syndrome because it's not severe enough, or tell people they need to push harder through their chronic fatigue syndrome because they could do more if they only tried. And hypocritical as it is, as someone who has only recently found out that she has had chronic fatigue syndrome for the last 3.5 years, I have found myself being that person sometimes, especially to my housemate. I mean, not like directly because I'm a nice person and I don't want to upset her, but like I've been having those thoughts like, oh, maybe if you tried harder, you know, maybe you just need to push more, maybe you just need to force yourself, and you know, maybe you don't have real chronic fatigue syndrome because it's not, or it doesn't come across through her behavior as bad as mine, and I'm sure it is. I'm sure she's no less. I mean, she might even be more ill than me considering she's taking on a lot more responsibility. But I found myself having these thoughts, and I've seen it in the online community since I've been researching chronic fatigue syndrome, also known as ME. I'm not going to try and say the full name, but I'm just going to refer to it as CFS ME throughout this video. But since I've been researching it, I've seen in YouTube comments, I've seen on Instagram that there are a lot of people who doubt people's chronic fatigue syndrome and doubt people's struggles, and either tell them that they don't have real chronic fatigue syndrome because they were able to get better, or tell them that they only had mild chronic fatigue syndrome because they could move. But you don't know the extent of someone's struggles by what you see on social media. Even for people like me and many others suffering from chronic illnesses who can be quite open on social media, we don't share everything. No one shares everything about their life on social media. And if you're not someone's doctor, then you shouldn't be judging or commenting on the validity of their condition or the extent of their condition, because whether their chronic fatigue syndrome is real or not, whether it's mild, moderate or severe or not, it's none of your business. And we set up these online communities, we speak about our struggles, and it's to get support. So I don't know why our communities are not really giving support. And I mean, maybe some of it comes out of jealousy because like people with severe chronic fatigue syndrome may be jealous that someone has managed to recover. They may be stuck in their own belief that they can't recover. And I understand that. That's a really horrible place to be. Because it's a really horrible place to be. But that's not a reason to lash out at other people and tell other people that their diagnosis and their struggles are not valid. It's not okay, and it's so counterproductive to anything that you could be achieving. If you don't have anything nice to say, then please don't say it at all. And this goes to everyone, not just people in the chronic illness community. This goes to those able-bodied people as well, who think that we look fine and so we are fine, or we managed to go to the theatre so we can do everything else, but they don't understand how hard going to the theatre was. And, you know, however much I love the theatre, it's something that's increasingly becoming more of a difficulty, and more of an impossibility on me as I get more ill, because I find walking up the stairs difficult. If I'm having a bad day, then like even simple laughing and clapping, I can feel it drain my energy. Revolving stages apparently make me feel dizzy now. And I still love the theatre. Don't get me wrong, I could live in the theatre if I didn't have a degree to get, and I could afford to live in the theatre. Like, you know, don't get me wrong. It's still a really enjoyable experience, but the amount it takes from someone with a chronic illness to go to the theatre, it's so much, and you don't necessarily see that because we look healthy, we look normal, and we're often quite good at hiding our struggles. So don't be quick to judge on someone's character. With this illness, you just need to give people the benefit of the doubt. I mean, my perspective on chronic fatigue syndrome might be slightly unpopular, but I think it is a combination of obviously like physical and biological changes. It's a physical disorder, it's not a psychiatric disorder, but I feel like there are psychiatric elements that hinder your recovery and kind of go into perpetuating the disorder, which is why I am so well at the moment, because mentally I guess I'm doing all the right things, and I'm, you know, like, you need to get out of bed, you need to stretch, you need to make coffee, you need to just do. Yeah, but I understand that when it gets bad and you literally start collapsing from fatigue, and it can cause a lot of anxiety, and when you're stuck in bed feeling too ill to watch TV, it can cause a lot of depression. I understand because I've been there, and the only way I know how to deal with it is by pushing through as much as possible. And I understand that for a lot of people with chronic fatigue syndrome, when they literally can't move, just pushing through is not an option anymore. And I guess once you have your whole life taken away from you, once you have to drop out of university, quit your job, and just have your whole life taken away from you, I understand that that can cause a lot of depression. So really, I think we just need to learn to be more understanding and treat people with chronic fatigue syndrome, whether you have chronic fatigue syndrome or not. Treat them like you would someone with a really bad flu. You wouldn't make someone with a really bad flu go on a walk for an hour and a half, or would you? Because I know I wouldn't. You wouldn't make someone with a really bad flu cook dinner necessarily if they've had a busy day at work. You wouldn't get upset at someone with a really bad flu for not quite finishing their washing up because they just couldn't quite find the energy. And you wouldn't get annoyed at someone with a really bad flu for cancelling plans on you because they really just don't feel like they can manage it that day. And I can promise you, having to say no, it hurts the sufferer as much, if not more, as it hurts you. Being able to see your life being taken away from you is one of the most horrible things that a person can go through. And really, a lot of us with chronic fatigue syndrome who are still out and about in society, we're just trying to hang on as best we can. We're just trying to hang on to the little that is left of our life. And we're also probably really quite scared that it could get worse and we could have that little that is left of our life taken away. So please understand that we're trying to manage our illness as best as we can. We have done research. We know that, graded exercise if done correctly, it can help if done correctly. But it needs to be under the correct supervision, which a lot of us don't really have access to. We know that stretching can be beneficial, but again, even that is an activity that can be draining for people with chronic fatigue syndrome. We know that taking probiotics can help because it helps heal and fix the gut, and that can have an impact on our energy. We know that maybe going vegan could help, but also a lot of us who are still active and in society, we don't have the energy to cook and wash up on top of everything else we're expected to do in a day. So there's not much we can do or feel able to do about our diets, because just getting through the day is so hard. We know that supplements may help. You know, we've done the research. We know what could help, and we are doing the best that we can with a difficult situation at whatever stage someone in their recovery from chronic fatigue syndrome is at, whether it seems like they're not trying to get better at all. Just let them have it, because, you know, we all have to go through a phase where we're lost, we're stuck, we don't know what to do, we desperately want to get out of the situation, but we just don't know where to turn. So if someone with chronic fatigue syndrome seems to be there, it's not that they're not trying as such, it's that they probably just really don't know how to. And at whatever stage of life that we are at, just understand that we are doing the best we can at that moment. We all need to try and be more understanding to this condition, because even doctors don't understand us. Even doctors don't understand what's causing it. Even doctors are very quick to just say we're anxious, we're depressed, we're underweight. You know? We're working too hard. And that's not the case. Chronic fatigue syndrome isn't just getting tired too. It's an overwhelming exhaustion that makes every single activity, like even filming this video, is exhausting. It makes every single activity exhausting. It makes watching TV exhausting. Your brain doesn't work. You read a sentence and you can't follow a book. You know, which makes working and studying almost impossible for most of us. And achieving really high grades, some people can do with chronic fatigue syndrome, but right now, I can't, most other people can't. Most people with chronic fatigue syndrome are forced to quit their job or their studies, either because of the physical implications of their disorder, but more commonly, and the more common barrier to getting back into work, is the severe brain fog it causes. It causes recurrent sore throats, nausea, digestive issues, sleep disturbances. See, now, this is the contradiction. We're really tired, but we can't sleep. And when we do sleep, we sometimes feel worse than when we went to bed the night before. Chronic fatigue syndrome is a really horrible condition in itself. And I know that everyone suffering with it just wants a little more care, love, and understanding of the struggles they're going through. And we want less judgment and less pressure to feel like we have to make you happy. A lot of people with chronic fatigue syndrome have historically been type A overachievers, like me. And not everyone with chronic fatigue syndrome has been a type A overachiever, but a lot of us have. And it's this personality which perpetuates the disease, because we just don't let ourselves rest, and we keep on pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing until we crash, and then we even try and push and push and push and push and push and through the crash, and like, we're not going to get better like that. So please allow us to say no. Please understand us when we say no. We're not being lazy. We're doing the best we can to manage a difficult situation. That is the end of the video. Please understand us. You might see more videos from me coming up. Probably not, because I'm still studying right now. Meant to be studying right now, but I am contemplating taking a year out for health reasons, because I know I can't keep on like I am, and I'm really sacrificing my grades. So if you suddenly see an influx of videos from me, it's because I've dropped out of uni. But yes, remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video, which will probably be in the summer, but it could come before, who knows. But yes, hope you enjoyed the video. Please understand people and just sit back and try and see where they're coming from.